The House Local Government Municipal Finance Committee will come to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Chair Fitzgerald.
Here.
Representatives Burns.
Here.
Shannon.
Present.
Breen.
Present.
Rogers.
Here.
Hill.
Here.
Hoskins.
Here.
Pies. Dorn.
Here.
Paquette.
Here.
Bizot.
Here.
McGold.
Here.
Preston. Mr. Chair, you have 13 members present. You have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. With that, we need approval to adopt the minutes from the April 19th meeting. Rep. Breen makes that motion, and seeing no objection, the minutes from the April 19th meeting will stand approved as submitted. Now, with that, we're going to be taking up House Bill 4375 today, which Rep. Grant spoke to a few weeks ago and would like to have a little bit of follow-up with regards to some modifications that have been made. So I'd like to invite Rep. Grant forward. Feel free to come on up whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Chair, and the rest of the committee for hearing my bill, House Bill 4375, just a few weeks ago. Based on some of the comments made during the hearing, we worked with stakeholders to make a slight tweak to the bill, and I'm offering an H1 substitute today. The change addresses the possible situation where a county forms a land bank authority and there's already an existing city land bank. I know that there were a few questions about that, and we clarified that the city would have the authority within its boundaries, but after the conversation, we thought that we should make that really clear in the language as well. So while coexisting land banks already exist with Wayne County and Detroit, and they have no conflict between them, we thought it would be best to clarify that situation if it happens in the future and ensure that a newly qualified city land bank is protected. To accomplish this, we are amending the definition of what is a local authority. Which would be the city land banks, to add language that makes it explicit that they have control over property in their geographic boundary, unless they enter into an intergovernmental agreement as allowed under the Act. This change can be found on page 2, line 26. And it's just making that clear that you are free to work together, but if a city land bank has already been established where there was no county land bank, that they have power over the property in their boundaries. I want to thank the committee members and stakeholders for a helpful discussion that led to this change, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Rep. Grant. Yeah, we took testimony on this 3 weeks ago. We appreciated you being here then and now. I think that this was great feedback from the committee during that hearing, and I don't know if we have any additional questions today that need to be answered. I do have Rep. Hill.
Thank you. That was a clear explanation. I wondered about page 3, line 25, 26. Just if there was a particular instance. It's a first-class school district, and then striking any department or agency of the city. Just wondered. That's page 3, right?
Yes, basically my bill was an amendment to an existing bill that was really created for the city of Detroit. And what qualified them before was that they had a first-class school district. So now we have changed what qualifiers are. We've amended the population threshold. And so I'm not sure of the exact strike there, but that was really specific to Detroit, that initial language, and so we're amending it where other cities will be able to be included in that. And my staff's not looking at me with any other input, so although that doesn't speak to your exact question of the strike, I know that what preceded that language in the line was about the school district was really specific for Detroit.
Okay. The goal of my question was to understand just how broad this was, because it does seem valuable to allow this to happen in as many places as possible. That's fundamentally what I'm trying to
Okay.
Yeah.
So the threshold is a city that has a population of 50,000 or more, and so this doesn't and also does not have a county land bank in place. So this does broaden who qualifies pretty well, but it does not allow everyone without a county to qualify. And I think we spoke to the fact that that was really to ensure that a city of such size would have the staff and support as well as the funding to run the city land bank.
Thank you, Rep. Hill. Rep. Pies.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Given that population determines some benefits that cities receive or are eligible for, how did you come to the population of 50,000?
We had conversation with the state land bank, and in areas where there is no existing county land bank, the state land bank is the land bank authority in those areas. So when we had a conversation about what city size may have capacity to really run this program there was concern that in name it would be a city land bank, but that the state land bank would still have to do a lot of the work without getting the funding. So this was a threshold that they felt was comfortable where people would be able to manage it on their own.
Thank you, Rep. Pies. Minority Vice Chair Zorn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon. A couple questions for you. Number one, in the end, realistically then, a county that has a land bank could also have a city that has a land bank.
In the end, yes.
Okay. And I think that's it. I think the question's been asked. Thank you.
Yeah, the H1 substitute, I think, kind of addresses that hypothetical where what happens if the cart came before the horse or vice versa. In this case, the city land bank and then the county entered into one. That's where the H1 substitute is really helping to address that potential incident down the line here. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In that case, and why do we not want cities or counties, for that matter, to use the state land bank?
So the real conversation around this, and I'll use Grand Rapids as an example, we've been without a county land bank since 2018. And so it leaves local kind of planning and foresight, people who know their community the best and what could be the best uses for the community for these properties. It leaves it open. The state land bank does a really good job of working with the city, but then you get into this gray area where the state land bank is like, if you guys are going to do the work, instead of sending the work up the pipeline to us, we support you all doing that work and having local control. Also, the state land bank, because they are working all across the state, they're really limited about the tools and resources and how specific with planning and things like that they want to get, because they're doing it for the whole state. So the city being able to step in really allows them to focus on the housing issues they have, who they want to serve in their city, and what tools they want to give people to make sure that the land is being used at the best of its ability.
Thank you very much, Rep. Grant. Rep. Preston.
Thank you, Chair. My concern revolves around the duplication of services and the potential frictions that occur between if there was a county land bank, enacted with the city land bank. Are we going to run into a situation? I was initially supportive of this until the substitute, which seems to allow for two land banks to occur within a county, and then on top of it, the state land bank. So it seems like a duplication of services, and the potential for just the waste of taxpayer funds in trying to maintain multiple land banks within jurisdiction.
Yeah, and let me clarify. There would be no duplication because land banks won't coexist unless they'd like to, and that's a rare case. We didn't want to take that power away from you if the county wants to work with the city. But what you would have is the city works in its land bank, the county serves everyone around and outside of that city, and then the state land bank is there in the same way that they are there for other county and city land banks, kind of as like the state authority. But what's happening right now is that we are leaving cities unserved when there is no existing county land bank. And so this is giving cities the resources they need to serve themselves because there is not a county land bank there to do it.
Just to redirect, if I could.
Yes.
It wasn't, my point wasn't to the duplication of land banks, more so the duplication of services available. You know, that the county would have land bank authority, staff, and then the city as well. It's just, as far as taxpayer resources, duplication of services, not so much land bank. That's where, and the potential rubs that occur between the cities, municipalities, and the county.
It wouldn't be duplication of services because they're serving two different populations. The county is serving everyone outside of the city, and the city is serving the city. So it actually would allow a city to be more tailored. I'll use Flint as an example. They have, maybe I shouldn't use them as an example. They have a county land bank, but the county land bank owns 70% of the land in Flint. And so when you look at instances like that, I'm not saying that they're pursuing a city land bank, but the county has, just like the state, they have to serve a broad range of people, and a city can have a very specific tailored plan for who and how to serve. They can work quicker and provide resources to people who are a part of their constituency in a different way that the county can't. But this isn't duplicated. The city isn't serving someone and then the county land bank is serving them as well. They would be serving two different populations. They would have two different districts, so to say.
Thank you, Rep. President. I hear your concerns, and I appreciate you bringing those forward. Thank you. Rep. Breen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Rep. Grant. I'm excited about the possibility for this because coming from local government myself, I think it's really essential that local units of government be able to sort of take control of their own destiny. And I know that Grand Rapids has been sort of leading the charge in a lot of innovative areas, in particular in housing. So I'm excited to see what Grand Rapids is going to be able to do with this. And I'm wondering if you know, and if you don't, that's okay. You could always tell us later. Is there anything in particular that Grand Rapids hopes to achieve or do with this land bank? Is there any particular plan that they have in a direction that they're going towards?
There is, and there is a wide array of tools that they would like to implement that the state land bank cannot. But some of those are, for instance, we had about 60 plots of vacant land. We didn't have any actual homes or structures that were available, but we had 60 plots of vacant lands that all were in my district, Southeast Grand Rapids, so the urban core of Grand Rapids. And what we found is that with the state land bank, they will just be for sale or not. And vacant land, we know that new construction is very expensive, so they were sitting. But the city is able to work with planning and zoning, rezone things how they need to be, work with small-scale developers and nonprofits to say, we'll give you a really great price on this land if you are creating affordable housing, if you're creating single-family or duplex or 4 units. Like, work with them through the whole process, make sure that it fits the aesthetic of the community or the neighborhood, and that it hits the market in a reasonable time at a price that's good for people who are looking for homes.
Thank you. I'm excited to see what you guys are going to do.
Thank you, Rep. Breen. Rep. Pies.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm thinking right now, I believe Wayne County has land bank, and Detroit has land bank. And so I live in Wayne County. I border Detroit. So we've had issues, and I know the county has handled those, but I also know the size, the geographic size of Detroit. And so it seems to me that it's mostly very, very large cities that are that we wouldn't have to worry about a problem or a concern with, since in regards to duplication of services and in being more specific to a city's needs than the county as a whole. Since I know there's a great variance in my county on socioeconomic status and availability of homes. And I know in my neighborhoods in Detroit have very specific issues and rates of foreclosure, rates of abandoned housing. So I'm looking at it as, in this particular situation, it's not duplicative services that a county then might be unable to handle or might need to have more staff for, or everybody works double time or something. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And Rep. Preston did have a key point that I hope I'm being able to clarify correctly. Because of the work of the land bank, how detailed it is when you're working with properties and when was the property put into the land bank, how is it zoned, does it need to be demolished, does it need to be updated, all of those things. When it comes to duplicating work, now people who come from local government know that we all have our boundaries and sometimes our rubs with each other. But when it comes to duplicating work in these instances where cities are going through the whole process to create a city land bank, it's because there are properties that really need to be addressed. And if ever at some point the county decides to go through a full process of instituting a county land bank, it's very likely that there are many other properties throughout the county that also need to be addressed. So there shouldn't be a duplication of work because there is enough work within each other's boundaries.
Thank you, Representative Grant. And seeing no further questions for you, I'd like to thank you for your testimony today and for bringing this forward. With that, we do have a couple of cards to read in. I do have a card that wishes to speak. I have Emily Dorr from the State Land Bank who would like to bring forward testimony in support of the bill. So if you'd like to, please come up at this time. You're welcome to start whenever you're ready.
Okay, excellent. Hello, representatives. My name is Emily Dorr. I'm the executive director of the State Land Bank, and I wanted to come here deliberately in support of the bill, and also wanted to ask that if there were any questions that you did ask Representative Grant, I definitely appreciate her efforts in this, that you wanted some more details on, please feel free. I am here for that. There are 48 counties that have county land banks, so my team serves the other 35. We are a team of myself and 8 people, and we do work all across the state. We will help counties create county land banks. That's actually one of the things we do. We just helped Berry County. They were number 48. They just filed their IGA just in the last month or two. We do receive funds from federal and state money that then gets allocated out to county land banks. That's just in this cycle, fiscal year 23, and then also a supplemental bill. We then work with the remaining counties directly, so those municipalities can come and work with us directly. So there is a lot of money on the table right now. I'm happy to share information about any of that. The money that is going out, again, statewide, places with and without. One of the things that is something to say that we know local control is best. And so I say that to anybody. I come from local government. I like local government because those are the people who know the individuals street by street, block by block, what's happening. So this bill we are in support of because we know that it is something that will help cities who want more local staffing, local control. And at the same time, there is I think there's just a lot of opportunity for there to be thoughts and conversations about land use, and that's the bigger conversation, is who wants to have land use conversations? Is it at the county level or is it at the city level? And this bill would allow for cities who want to really talk about land use to really dive into that more than what they can now. Whereas if a county land bank can talk about land use, I think that works in a number of counties around the state. And we will coordinate some of those conversations with existing county land banks or counties without county land banks. We have those conversations with stakeholders. So it's the land use conversation that I just wanted to make sure we did say that that's where land banking is key. And I appreciate your time today.
Do we have any questions? Okay, seeing none, thank you so much for your testimony here today. I do also have another card from Don Crandall of the Home Builders Association of Michigan, who does not wish to speak but is in support of the bill. With that, we have an H1 sub. We do need a motion to adopt that H1 substitute for House Bill 4375. Rep. Rogers makes that motion. Madam Clerk, would you please call the vote?
Chair Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Representatives Burns.
Yes.
Shannon.
Yes.
Breen.
Aye.
Rogers.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Hoskins.
Yes.
Pies.
Aye.
Zorn.
Negative.
Talkett.
No.
Bezat.
No.
Bagol.
No.
Preston.
No.
Mr. Chair, you have 8 yeas, 5 nays, 0 passes. The substitute is adopted.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. I will now take a motion to report House Bill 4375 as sub H1 with recommendation. Rep. Hoskins makes that motion. Madam Clerk, would you please call the vote?
Chair Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Representatives Burns.
Yes.
Shannon.
Yes.
Breen.
Aye.
Rogers.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Hoskins.
Yes.
Pies.
Aye.
Zorn.
No.
Talkett.
No.
Bezat.
No.
Bagol.
No.
Preston.
No.
Mr. Chair, you have 8 yeas, 5 nays, 0 passes. House Bill 4375 is reported with recommendation as substitute H1.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, everyone, for your attendance today. With no further business being before this committee, the Committee on Local Government is adjourned.